Welcome to Criminal Law Unfiltered.
Welcome back to Criminal Law Unfiltered with Robert M. Helfend. Robert is the founder of the Helfend Law Group and a criminal defense attorney who focuses on serious state and federal cases. With more than 4 decades of experience, he has worked with individuals at every stage of a criminal matter, including those who know they are being investigated but haven't been formally charged. In many cases, that period of uncertainty can be just as critical as anything that happens later. I'm Evan Mack, and today we're focusing on what it means to be under investigation before charges are filed and how that stage can shape what comes next. So Robert, sir, welcome back.
Thanks. Nice being here. Thanks for having me.
So Robert, how does someone typically find out they're under investigation if no charges have even been filed yet?
Well, many ways. Federally, you usually get a letter saying that you're a target of an investigation. So if you're a target of an investigation, you should seek counsel. And that's really what the letter is all about. They want you to get a lawyer because they don't want to talk to you. They can't. So you get a target letter from the U.S. Attorney. Well, yeah, from the U.S. Attorney's Office. So your lawyer, you got to get a lawyer. Lawyer will see the name of the U.S. Attorney is at the bottom or at the second page, and then you want to call them and find out, how do we proceed? How do we go forward? If it's a state case, normally a police officer, or not a police officer, but a detective who is a police officer will call you and say, hey, I want to talk to you about this incident. That means somebody made a police report on you and they want to get, as they call it, your side. We just want to get your side of things before, oh, really? You want to get my side? Tell you what, we're giving you my side when you put them in the box. Meaning, put 12 people in the box and that's when you're going to hear my side, okay? You don't want to ever give them your side. Never give them your side, okay? Like, for instance, this trial that I'm in, they had no idea what was coming. So Mr. X happened to shoot his uncle. And Mr. X is on iPhone touching his uncle, okay? Or shooting his uncle. They took a family member has it on their phone. They don't actually have the shooting and the whole thing, but you could see the gun being lifted, pointed, the guy getting up from the victim getting up from the table and then kind of leaving the room. And then you can hear 7 shots and you could kind of see the guy on the ground. What happens after that is a mystery to the police. The police do get the guy, I'd say within the hour. He's only a mile away from where this happened. And everything that happened in between there is very fascinating. He doesn't try to get away. He was always planning on turning himself in. He was actually meeting his brother. And I can't give you the exact details because I don't want people to think about who this is. But, this person was going to, meet a family member, have a little bite to eat, and then go to the police station and turn themselves in. But the police saw the car, and they stopped it. And my client gets out of the car and, he gets arrested, but he's rambling. And he's getting sit in the back of the car and basically yells, I did it. I killed that mofo. And I am not sad about it. And it goes on from there to the police interviews. And the detective in the case says to him, so this guy, let's just say he killed his uncle. And so the detective in this interview, which is recorded, says, tell us about your relationship with your uncle. And with that, this guy flies off into a raid. What the you want to talk to me about my uncle for? Why do you ask about my uncle? That's some shit I don't want to talk to about. You're going to dig up shit that I don't even want to think about. You're digging up shit that I don't talk about and I don't want anybody to know about. And here's a real key thing. He says, you guys ain't psychiatrists or psychologists, and I don't talk to them either about what's going on here, what happened in my life. You don't know what happened in my life. And he proceeded to talk like that for 15 minutes around that topic. And so what would you think if you're a juror, you hear this prep for what's about to happen, what's about to be said, okay? So you hear that and you go, what happened to him okay? So what happens is that came out first with the detective. And the detective, I'm going through these statements. I have them right behind me. There's about 7 of them that, wow, don't you want? So I asked the detective, well, first of all, I go, detective, how long you been a homicide detective? Oh, 5 years. Oh, well, okay. Well, this happened like 4 years ago. So how long were you a homicide detective when you did this interview? Okay, so it'd be fair to say what? Was this your first interview as a homicide detective of a homicide suspect? Um, um, mm, ah, I think it was the second. Oh, the second. Okay. And looking back on it, do you think you would have done something different, asked different questions if you had more experience? Yeah, I think the DA objected, and that question came in, and this detective said, yes, I would have. Okay. I would have, because that interview was the key to this case, which she couldn't get it out of him. She didn't follow up on it. So the DA then calls, like 1 or 2 witnesses later, my client's, let's just say, mom and brother. Turns out that when this guy was a toddler till he was 8 years old, he would go into this person's room for hours. He'd be invited in the room and the door would close. And because the brother, as a little kid, wanted to play. Hey, I want to play with my brother. And he's in Uncle Charlie's room and he's not coming out. I mean, I want to go play. Come on, we can throw a ball around. We can do some shit. And so mom confirmed that herself as another witness because she tries to get him what's going on? What happened in there? What's going on? All these years, he never said what happened in that room with Uncle Charlie. Okay? And so here's another little nugget that came out. Mom says, I tried to get him to talk to me about what was going on in that room. And one thing that I told him was, look, I just want you to know, when I was a minor, Uncle Charlie touched me inappropriately. And I just want you to know he did that to me. So, it's okay for you to talk to me, just in case something like that happened. Nothing. Wouldn't say a fucking word. And why wouldn't he say a word? Well, because Uncle Charlie told him, don't talk to anybody. And oh, by the way, here's all these presents. And he got him a nice, you'd give him all the different G.I. Joe toys, and he would gave him some nice stuff. like a motorcycle, a car. And so it went on for years. And let me just add one more element to this. This guy is psychotic. And I'm using the word psychotic because um, he's actually been diagnosed as having a form of schizophrenia. The characteristics of being schizophrenic are hearing voices, seeing things, hallucinating, have auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations. This is a guy that, so then this is a guy that, was hearing things. He wanted to go to the Mormon temple because there's somebody underneath the Mormon temple he needed to go rescue. This is a guy that would put, towels over the computer because the computer has a camera. He put towels over lights because the government was looking at him. And so that day he goes over to the house because that's where his grandmother lives. This guy was living with, his grandmother. So this is my client's mother's brother we're talking about, okay? And so he goes over there, sees him in the backyard, and he's in one of his delusional phases. I mean, he's paranoid. It's really one of the key elements of being schizophrenic. And he says to him, I've had it. It's a lifetime of this secret. I'm not holding on to it anymore. I'm in my 30s. I'm telling my mom what's going to happen, that I'm going to do this. And this guy says to my client, who's not exactly playing with a full deck, although he's a high functioning person. In fact, the doctor said, somebody like this, if they're not on meds, they're okay until they're not. And, and she gave some really good examples. I mean, here's a guy that can't live alone, was never living alone, always was living with mom, never held down a job for very long, okay? So he's okay until he wasn't, and this finally he wasn't. And so the guy says to him, "You tell mom, and I'm going to F with," I won't give the name, but it's his 13-year-old daughter. Those were the words. "I'm going to F with the 13-year-old daughter." And so when he heard that, this is somebody, number one, who'd been and he told, by the way, that comes out through the client on the stand. And the client, before he said that, and he told, by the way, that comes out through the client on the stand. And the client, before he said that, divulged what happened all those years between the ages of basically 3 and 8. The brother testified he would go in there at age 1, started going in at 1, but he could only remember from 3 and 8. And he'd go in there, there's marijuana in there, there's alcohol in there, but there were pornographic magazines, books in there. And so this person would show him these pornographic magazines. He turned to pages where somebody was giving oral sex to another person and tell him to mimic this. Yeah.
Wow.
So here's
Wow.
somebody now where this person is now saying, "You tell, and I will F with your daughter." You just told them that? So he's gone through this lifetime, first of the trauma till he was 8 years old on a regular basis. And now you're saying that you're going to do this to the daughter when your mother has already told you that he he touched her. Okay? Like, wait, so he's going to do this to a kid, to a girl, and my daughter's 13, and she comes over here sometimes without my mom here, without me here. So he goes home and just to cut through the chase, he drinks 2 bottles of wine. He's making dinner. His daughter comes home, his mom comes home, and he goes and talks to mom and says, I'm hearing the voices. I got it. I can't stand it. I can't take it anymore. I can't live like this anymore. The voices are so bad right now. I want to go rescue that woman under the Mormon temple, and I'm going to do myself in tonight. This has got to be the night. I can't do it anymore. But before I do, I'm going to take out Uncle Charlie. Because I have to, today's got to be the day. I can't leave this earth and leave him there. She tries to talk him out of it. She actually doesn't think it's going to happen because he's threatened suicide before, and then he leaves. And then 10 minutes later, this is what happened. He goes there and he's on tape taking out Uncle Charlie, if you're under investigation. So what ties all of this to that is, when the DA was cross-examining my client, even cross-examining his poor brother and mom, who corroborated
So bad.
everything. They corroborated. They backed it up because the mom comes in. I knew that he was in there all alone, and I couldn't get him to talk. The brother who saw him in there and was jealous, like, why do you always get gifts and I don't? And also, I was jealous. I want to play with my brother. So they corroborated it. So the point is let's look at this a different way. Let's look at if the police were more masterful in their interrogation of the client, and he divulged this to them at the time. Don't you think that they would be spending the next few years trying to disprove that this happened? Okay? They're not your friends. So police are not your friend. The FBI, the Secret Service, Homeland Security, the Los Angeles Police Department, LA County Sheriff, whatever police department where you live, they are not your friends. Their job is to gather evidence, and their job is to get incriminating evidence. Their job is not to help you win your case. If that happens, it's not because they wanted to do that. And so what I'm telling you is let's put it this way, to give this person the best chance of success in a trial. Okay, because it's a jury trial, so you do your best to get the best kind of people on who be receptive to this kind of evidence on a jury. But to give your client the best chance at success at a jury trial, you don't say a word. This stuff happened the first time this ever came out. All of it. What happened in the room, the corroborating evidence from the family was once they hit the witness stand. Okay? Doesn't give them any kind of an opportunity to rebut it. They wouldn't have had any way to rebut it anyway. Where are they going to go, right? And something interesting, which is going to come out at the closing argument of this, when you have a homicide case, any kind of case really, either the victim, if on a sex case, the victim a lot of times will sit in the audience during closing. And in a homicide case, the victim's family will sit in the audience. On this case, the only people that are in the audience are for my client. What does that tell you about the victim? And I'm going to bring that up. Where are the people that are supporting the victim? You think we're bullshitting you? Why don't you check it out? Why don't you check it out? Let's look at reality here. Where is the people who are backing the victim here? Why aren't they here? That shows you
Mm.
something about the victim's character. So I digress for 50.
We wrapping it up right there, man. Listen, that's a nice you put a nice bow on it. We gonna close it out right there because it was good information though. Anytime you can talk about your cases, like and kind of give information from like the real life perspective, it kind of helps out, and I think it's good information.
Do not talk to the cops, anyone, ever. And all you got to do is say, if you're afraid to say it, just say, I got a lawyer. Let me call that lawyer before I say anything to you. Let me make sure it's okay. Okay? Don't say anything. You can tell him your name, but don't admit you were there. Don't even admit you were there.
Robert, appreciate you.
All right. See you next week.
That's it for today's episode of Criminal Law Unfiltered. Being under investigation without charges can feel uncertain, but the decisions made during that time often carry long-term consequences. To learn more about Robert Helfend and the work he does at the Helfend Law Group, visit robertmhelfend.com. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like, subscribe to the show, and leave a review if you found this episode helpful. Thank you so much, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.